All right, here we go. Hi everyone, I am Toluca from Markers and Minions.
I'm Jenna. I'm an ESC teacher, and my son goes to school with her kids too.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about Unit 4, and I would think that you are a superhero if you're already on Unit 4, so don't panic. I don't think really anyone's there yet, but I like to be a little bit ahead of the pacing in the group so that I can give you the guidance before you start your planning so that you're not like, oh, I loved that idea. I wish you would have told me this like 2 weeks ago. So we're going to just have a little sneak peek into Unit 4. We'll talk about like the overarching themes in each of the grade levels and how it builds from K through 6. We'll talk about the anchor chart that I use with my own students, and I'll even go through it and teach it to you as if you were my students. And then we'll talk about some fun extension ideas that have been shared throughout the years in this group that are like the ones that I see people do every year. So you know they're teacher tested and they're kid approved. And then we will launch our annual
Pen pal exchange.
exchange. Yay! We've been doing every year in this group because there's 27,000 of us. We might as well collaborate in some way, right? So we've got that at the very end, and then we'll give a little brief overview of next week, and then that's it. So, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So this ideas build off of each other. So in kindergarten, oh, the camera's like awesome. The writers tell many stories. So their students are just being introduced to these things. First grade, the stories begin to have more of a narrator focus. So it's important for the students to be able to identify what a narrator is. Second grade, many characters, many points of view.
So now we have characters introduced.
Third grade, comparing points of view. So we have characters, and now they're going to be talking about different ways that they might see the same thing. Fourth grade, understanding different points of view. So now not only do you have a different point of view, but I have to understand why you have that point of view.
Yeah.
Fifth grade is recognizing author's point of view. So why does the author feel a certain way or think a certain thing? And then sixth grade is the reader's perspective.
Yeah, so it really builds from K and 1, where it's all about like storytelling, who tells the stories, what's a narrator, what's an author. And then in second grade, we have that introduction of characters, and then that kind of evolves as we examine those characters and their points of view, compare them, understand them, and then we look at the author and like why they would have written something. Maybe we bring in like culture and things like that. And then in sixth grade, finally, it's like the reader's analysis. So that is how this topic sort of builds throughout the years. And so I feel like this anchor chart really encompasses that idea. And right now it's in pencil because this is how I would always prep my anchor charts with the graphic in black. So I have my graphic completed. I have one symbol that I felt represented the theme, and I feel like that's pretty universal across the grade levels. Like for the most part, it's like the lens in which a story is being told from. So first, what I like to do with my kids, and I'll just go through this and just let it flow naturally, like as if you're my students. But we won't do like turn and talks, and I'm gonna basically be doing it like a million times faster than I would do it with my kids. But this is how I pre-teach the concept. So, all right, boys and girls, today we are going to be talking about Unit 4. And I want to ask myself this big question here. This is our unit introduction question. What makes people view the same experience in different ways? So an experience can be an event or something that happened. So what makes people see that same thing but in different ways? Now our signal word for this unit is going to be perspective. Everyone say perspective.
Perspective.
All right, let's clap that out. How many syllables does perspective have?
Perspective.
All right, a perspective is a unique way of seeing something. Everyone say unique way of seeing something.
Unique way of seeing something.
All right, so it's how someone might view that specific experience. That's their own perspective. Another word for this is actually point of view. So we're going to be talking about how we might all be in this classroom right now, but I might have a very different experience right now in my head going on than Jenna, right? So it's my perspective is unique to me. Unique means special. It's special to me, and it's how I see something. All right, so then what I do is I also put a little dot here so that I know what color I want to be using. And that way I color code the different sections for my students. All right, now in 2nd and 3rd grade, which is what I've taught this chart to, we talk about characters, remember, right? So I will talk about, the motives. And I'll say, remember in Unit 2, we talked about character motives, right? Everyone say motives.
Motives.
Yay. Okay. And you don't have to worry about, making it pretty or anything like that. The students see a lot better than you can right now because they're right in front. And you just kind of go through it. And I don't even worry about tracing the letters exactly. This is just here as a outline for me. Okay? So motives, why a person has a specific point of view. We all have our different motivations and different influences and different personal experiences that impact the way we view something. So I have a specific point of view about something because of my personal motivations, beliefs, and influences. Okay? Also, we have different past experiences. So this is another thing that changes the way that someone might view something. Their point of view motivates, everyone say motivates. Motivates what they do. We really need Mr. Sketch markers. These are depressing me. Look at that. Okay, and then we talk about, let's really dive into what this phrase is, point of view. Point of view, or sometimes we write it as POV. Point of view, that's an acronym, everybody. So this is the perspective, the way, let's just say, the way you view an experience. And then I might bring up like a scenario and say like, okay, well, how did you view that? How did you feel about that? How did you feel about that? And kids talk about how they feel, yada, yada, yada. Okay, we move on. We can have multiple points of view, as we just saw in the example that I gave in my class, right? So sometimes the way that Jenna feels is not the way that Taluka feels, and vice versa. Your point of view can be different from somebody else, and also we can have lots of different points of view represented from someone else's. Now this is also true in storytelling. Now in storytelling, there are 3 types of narrators. We have the first person point of view, and this is when the author uses the word I. They're telling the story from saying I, like they're the main character and they're telling the story. And then I would have a picture book and I would read a page and I would say, see, this must be the first person point of view. The next one is the second person point of view. And if you guys have any great examples of this one, let me know, because I was telling Jenna, like, I don't, even as a teacher, that one kind of stumps me. I think the places you'll go is written that way, because he's like, you'll go
Kid,
far.
You'll move mountains.
Kid, you'll move mountains. So I think that's second person. And then finally, we've got the third person point of view, and that is when the person is telling the story from the outside, almost as if they are reading it or watching it with you. Okay, so a lot of people will look at this and be like, whoa, that's a lot of text, but remember, we're stopping, we are digesting and turning and talking, and we're talking about examples, and they're talking about their personal experiences. I might even have little printouts and graphics that I put here as I'm going, or I might pass out little graphics and have the kids, when they hear it, they'll come up and they'll come put it up here. Or like this, the word motivates is related to motives. So I might have the word motivates written on a little index card, and when the kids hear that, whoever has that, they'll come up and put it up here. So you can make it interactive as well. Okay, and last, let's talk about what our opinion is, because this is a word you're going to hear a lot in this unit. This is really important for Unit 4. Our opinion can be our feelings about something. It can be our perspective of something. What is perspective, everybody?
A unique way of seeing something.
Yes, it can be someone's argument. It can be someone's counter-argument. Counter-argument is when you talk about, when you consider what the other person's opinion probably is in your writing. Sometimes there can be an opposing point of view. Opposing, what word does that sound like?
Oppose?
Yeah, or opposite? Yeah, so that means it's somebody that has the opposite opinion as you, or the opposite point of view. They might have a counter argument, something, a different belief, because their perspective is unique and different from yours. Sometimes you might feel like you need to persuade or convince someone to see something the way that you see it. Okay, so I just like to bring this in here because I like to do an opinion writing unit, and we call it an argument, and we always have that little paragraph in there that's a counter argument as well. So if you are teaching first grade or kindergarten, for example, you can still use elements of this chart. The point of the narrator part specifically, where you talk about the different types of narrators, and then you might also talk about like how, like this part, maybe not motives, but like what kind of influences characters to behave the way that they're doing. But again, in second grade, that's when you really start analyzing characters and pulling in how it moves the story along. Yeah, so this was my chart that I used in second and third grade. I've seen it used in a lot of different classrooms in fourth and fifth grade too. It's just a really great starting point, and I love to teach it this way because I'm Project GLAD trained, and so it's very visual. It's like that visual imprinting process. It's not like the typical anchor chart that you find online that you make like during your prep period. You're actually making it with your students, and it becomes your springboard basically. So I actually have a mini course that I just finished that teaches you how to make your own anchor charts for each of the benchmark units, and I will link that in the comments below. It's like an hour. It's a presentation. It's like an hour long, so I'll link that afterwards. All right?
Out there. So some of the other things that we've been seeing within the group are just ideas. So obviously if you have a great idea, we want to see your great idea. So there's going to be a post later this week of sharing Unit 3 ideas. So if you had like your culminating task, you would share it, so that way next year we can reshare your great ideas with everyone else. And then where you can find that, because that comes up a lot, there's guides at the top, and you can click on the guides, and there's a guide for each unit. So Unit 1 is Guide 1. So when we're talking about Unit 4, you would look in Guide 4, and there's an album that shows all the picture ideas. And then there's also Toluca's blog is linked there, the blog post for Unit 4. She has a Planned With Me video that's saved there, and just some other ideas. So if you're, not wanting to ask a question and then wait to see the responses, you can always look there, and then even still, you can ask a question, absolutely, but just to make it easier, it streamlines it all there. Some of the fun ideas that we've seen for Unit 4, I know I saw you as a judge with a wig.
Yeah, because so the thing that I always share every year is like my opinion writing unit, and I think I probably did this even before benchmark, and it was one of those things where I was like, oh, I'm definitely doing my unit still, but this like correlates perfectly with Unit 4. So it's like the Three Little Pigs versus Mr. A Wolf, and we read both sides of the story, the classic true story, or the classic Three Little Pigs, and then the true story of the Three Little Pigs. And then I come in with my, whole get up, and I'm like, we have a problem. This is a courtroom. And then I take pictures of the kids in my little work blazer, and they're all the jury. And I create a bulletin board of all their little faces, and it says meet the jury.
Yeah.
And then we spend the next 3-4 weeks analyzing both sides of the story and finding the evidence and deliberating and coming up with a verdict. So that's really fun. It kind of makes it come to life. And then the whole time they're analyzing perspective.
Right, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
So fractured fairy tales, I think, are a big springboard for this. There's so many new, different ones that weren't around when I was a kid, and I really get into the fractured fairy tale, so that's an easy one.
Yeah.
I saw Esperanza Rising was mentioned a lot for the older grades.
For 5th grade, I believe that's your novel study. If anyone needs help finding the novel study for your grade level, let us know. It's different for every grade level has one novel study, and it's different units. And I believe that 5th grade, your novel study is Unit 4, Esperanza Rising. And what you would do is you would replace all your benchmark lessons for that unit, and you would do the novel study lessons. So.
And then the pen pal exchange is another great idea or project idea that can be done in Unit 4. So
we will link that. This is our annual pen pal exchange launch or debut tonight. It started out right in the beginning of this group, I feel like back in 2017, 2018 or so. And the group was much smaller, but we did that year meet a lot of teachers working for on base in other countries. Like DODEA teachers. That's how I say it in my mind when I read it. DODEA, Department of Defense teachers. So we were like, oh, that's so cool, overseas, and a lot of them connected with teachers in the States. And so from there, it just kind of grew, and now we have this giant group. So what we do is we have this Google sheet that everyone can edit, and what you'll do is you'll put your name, your area, time zone, how many kids you've got, how often you want to do a pen pal exchange this year, whether it be monthly or every few months or whatever. You can decide, and then you'll leave your contact information for someone to find and match with you. And then just keep revisiting that Google sheet until you find a class that you're interested in pairing up with. But it's great because you can tie it to
point of view,
perspective and point of view. So you talk about there's another 3rd grade class all the way over in Utah or wherever, and right now over there it's getting really cold. Can you believe it?
No, it's 85 in Florida right now.
Whatever, and you can talk about how you are experiencing a lot of the same things, but you're viewing them differently, and you have different perspectives, and it's really cool and important to learn about other people's perspectives. And so we're going to do that through pen pal exchange. So I've also got these little letter and postcard templates that I have as it's linked in the Google Sheets document. That's a freebie. And then I also have a resource on TPT, which is a pack of different activities. So it's not just letter writing, it's also an interview and
compare and contrast. There's Mad Libs, I think I saw. Questionnaire, so you get to know your pen pals a little bit better,
and then compare and contrast yourselves. So it's cute, and it ties in academically. So that's all linked within that pen pal exchange. Or you just sign up, find your match, and do it however you want to do it. You can do it digitally or whatever. So that's what we'll be facilitating. We'll share that link in the comments, and then it's also going to be we'll post it tomorrow to the group.
So if next week we're going to be getting together again, because we just love doing this. So next week we'll be focusing more on the fractured fairy tale. There's a couple resources we want to talk about, and then just different fractured fairy tales that we've seen in action within our own classes, and
I bought all of them.
Yeah, they're
so I'll show them too. They're so. We should just read some too.
Mother Goose. Yeah. Get your wig. You still have the wig.
Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah, my daughter like read all of them. She's only in first grade and she's reading them. I'm so proud.
Yeah,
it's
that's
so cool.
amazing. So yeah, we'll be back with you guys next.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. We have a blog post for Unit 4, which she mentioned. It's got a picture of this anchor chart. It's a much prettier version. It's got the planned for me video that I filmed that walks you through actually the nitty gritty planning the unit. It comes up with, it has like the extension ideas, fun ideas, things like that. So it's a little more in depth, and we will link that for you as well. As always, let us know if you have any questions. We'll be around next week to support you all, and then we're going to take a break for a couple weeks because of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Tennessee. All right.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.